The storm shrieked through the mountain pass like a beast unchained, wild and relentless. Snow spun through the air in savage spirals, lashing against skin like shards of ice. In the center of this frozen nightmare, a small girl stood bound to a lonely tree, trembling. Her name was Sarah Miller, just 9 years old, and she had never known cold like this. Her jacket, torn and soaked, clung to her like a paper-thin shell. Ice crusted over her boots, her lips had faded to a pale, bluish gray. Each breath was agony, as if she were inhaling tiny knives. Tears welled in her eyes, but the wind stole them before they could fall. She didn't remember how it happened. Just hours ago, she'd been walking the trail, carrying a basket of warm pastries with her mother for Grandma's cabin. Then a sound behind her, a crack, then darkness. Now, alone, tied and freezing, Sarah could barely stay upright. Her legs shook violently as the snow thickened around her. And then something moved. Shapes stirred in the blizzard's white. Curtain. 2 shadows emerged, large, 4-legged. Wolves? No, dogs. German shepherds. One dark brown, the other black as midnight. They padded through the snow, their eyes sharp, but not unkind. Fear gripped Sarah's chest. Her voice, barely. A whisper, cracked through the wind. Double quotes, please. Heard me. But the dogs didn't attack. The brown one stepped forward, sniffing the rope at her wrists. Its eyes were intelligent, almost empathetic. The black dog stayed behind, gaze locked onto the storm behind them. Like a silent sentinel, the brown shepherd hesitated, then leaned closer and pressed its cold nose to the knot. Sarah froze. Then softly it began to gnaw at the rope, its teeth tugging gently but deliberately. The black dog stood guard, tense and unmoving. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She had no idea if they would turn on her, but some fragile instinct whispered, "They're not here to hurt me." And then snap, the rope gave way. Her arms dropped forward, useless and numb. She collapsed into the snow with a muffled cry, pain rushing in as blood returned to her limbs. Before she could react, the black shepherd darted forward, grabbed the back of her coat, and began to drag her. The brown one joined, teeth gently, gripping her sleeve. They didn't hesitate. They were moving fast, pulling her between trees, across the snow, toward shelter. Then dash voices. Shouting. They're back. Sarah's eyes widened. The men who tied her up. Their angry cries echoed through the forest. She's gone. How the hell? The men scattered through the trees. From behind a jagged line of rocks, Sarah crouched with the dogs, heart thundering. Max, the brown one, lay still beside her, head low. Blitz, the black one, watched the forest. Then one of the men came too close. Blitz didn't wait. He shot from the rocks, a blur of black fur and snow. The man yelled, "There, over there!" Blitz ran, drawing the man away from Sarah. A knife flew whistling through the air. Sarah gasped. Blitz yelped, his leg grazed, blood streaking his fur, but he didn't stop. He vanished into the trees. Back in hiding, Sarah stared, stunned. Blitz had risked everything. For her. Max nudged her. He stood. Sarah, trembling but trusting, followed. They wandered deeper into the woods, the storm thickening around them. Sarah's legs barely moved. Her breath came in sobs. Then, out of the white, a shack. Half-dash collapsed, covered in snow, leaning into a hill like it might fall over any second. But to Sarah, it looked like salvation. Max pushed open the door with his snout. Inside it was dark and cold, but dry. Sarah stumbled in and collapsed. Max curled beside her, thick fur warm against her back. She leaned in, too tired to cry. Her stomach ached. "I'm so hungry," she whispered. Max just watched her, calm, like he understood. She didn't expect a miracle. But somehow she believed in him. Later, the shack door creaked. Sarah jolted up. Max rose, ears perked. It was Blitz. He limped in slowly, snow crusted into his fur. Blood streaked down his leg. But in his mouth he carried something. A bundle of wild berries, shriveled and frozen. Sarah gasped. He dropped them gently at her feet. She scooped one up, popped it into her mouth. It was sour, but she swallowed it gratefully. Tears burned in her eyes as she shared the berries with Max and Blitz. "Thank you," she whispered, breaking off cloth from her sleeve. Gently she wrapped Blitz's leg. He stood still, silent and strong. Afterward, Blitz lay beside Max. Sarah, now curled between them, let exhaustion take her. She closed her eyes, her trust cradled in warm fur. Time passed. Max left quietly, slipping into the woods like a shadow. Maybe to scout, maybe to protect. Sarah waited, but Blitz didn't move. He stayed with her. The wind outside grew louder, battering the shack with howls of ice. Sarah lay trembling. And then dash sounds. Voices. Lights. The men had returned. Sarah's breath caught. Flashlights swept past the trees. Footsteps thudded in the snow. Max wasn't back yet. Blitz nudged her urgently, teeth tugging at her sleeve. He led her to a wall of brush behind the shack. They hid just in time. The men passed. One walked right past their hiding place. Sarah pressed into Blitz's side, heart pounding. She didn't breathe, and then a soft rustle at the shack's edge. Max had returned. Blitz wagged his tail once. Sarah smiled through tears. She wasn't alone. Not anymore. Blitz emerged from the trees. His movement slower now, but his eyes focused. He sniffed the air, glanced at Max and Sarah, then trotted ahead, motioning them to follow. Max stood immediately. Sarah hesitated, her legs still shaky, but the urgency in Blitz's body language left no room for doubt. They had to move. The trio slipped out from behind the bushes and made their way into the forest. Blitz leading with quiet determination. Snow had covered most of the trail, but Blitz followed something. Maybe scent, maybe instinct. After a few minutes, they reached the edge of a chain-link fence lined with rusted barbed wire. Blitz stopped, sniffed along the base, then found it. A narrow gap beneath the wire, half buried in snow. Sarah dropped it to her knees and crawled through. FedEx followed, their bodies low and cautious. The path beyond the fence was narrow and rocky, twisting along a steep slope. Trees loomed above them, and loose snow tumbled with each step, but they pressed on until voices erupted again behind them. The kidnappers had caught up. Blitz and Max spun around, standing protectively in front of Sarah's figures crashed through the underbrush. One man shouted, swinging a long stick, "Get the dogs!" The first strike came down hard. Max dodged, but Blitz took the hit across his back. Sarah screamed, "No, don't hurt them." She stepped forward, trying to shield them. In the chaos, Max leapt aside and collided with Sarah. Her feet slipped. The slope gave way beneath her, and suddenly she was falling. Snow flew past their face as Sarah tumbled, the world spinning in blinding white. She couldn't scream, couldn't even think. Just the sound of wind and the cold biting her skin as she rolled down the steep slope. She tumbled hard, her body slamming against uneven patches of frozen earth hidden beneath the snow. One sharp impact knocked the wind from her lungs, followed by another jolt as she slid into a drift of soft powder between stone and frostbitten grass. And then everything went still. No more wind, no more motion, just the pounding off her heart in her ears, the rasp off shallow breaths, and the soft, steady whisper of snow settling all around her. Her body hit the base of a shallow ravine, cushioned by snow, but jarred by impact. Everything ocked. For a moment, all she could do was lie there, blinking up at the sky, trying to remember how to breathe. Then, something warm and wet ouched her cheek, a tongue. Sarah turned her head slowly. Blitz. Blood still marked his black fur, but his eyes were filled with urgency. Max appeared beside him moments later, snow dusting his ears and snout. She was alive. "Weffel," she whispered, dazed. Her body trembled, more from shock than cold now. Both dogs licked her face again as if to say, "Yes, but you're safe." Above them, no one appeared. The kidnappers hadn't followed. Maybe they thought she hadn't served the fall. Maybe they gave up. For now, they were alone. As dawn began to touch the edge of the sky, Sarah pushed herself to sit up. Her bones protested, but her will was stronger. In front of them stretched a wide valley, its white expanse glowing in early light. And far, far in the distance, rooftops, a village. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. "We made it," she whispered. Max barkadonts short and soft. And in Fatman, despite everything, they had hope. The wind had softened by now, brushing gently through the valley like a whisper. Sarah stood with effort, her legs trembling beneath her, and gazed across the snow-covered open land stretching into the horizon. Far ahead, barely visible, stewed rooftops. A village, small, distant, butyrial. Max and Blitz flanked her, one on each side, tails low, but wagging gently. Sarah reached out instinctively and rested a hand on each of their backs. She couldn't feel her fingers, but their warmth grounded her. "We're close," she murmured. "Just a little more." Together they began the slow descent into the valley, weaving through powdery snow and icy ridges. The journey was painful. Sarah's body was exhausted. Every step a fight against the cold and her own fear, but she didn't stop. Neither did the dogs. They slowed their pace to match hers, pausing every few steps to nudge her forward, sometimes only licking her hands as if to say, "Keep going. We're almost there." Then from behind the hill came movement, people, flashlights, and then a voice. "Over here, I see her." Sarah's heart skipped. The sound was like music. She waved both arms weakly and shouted, "I'm her." Figures came running, orange jackets, rescue workers. One of them called her name twice before rushing forward and falling to their knees. A woman, Mom. She was in her mother's arms before she realized it. Warmth, tears, laughter, all tangled together in the tone beautiful broken moment. And beside her, Max and Blitz sat quietly, their tails thumping softly against the snow. They had brought her home. Snow crunched softly under boots as more rescuers arrived, surrounding Sarah and her mother in a protective circle. One of them bent down and gently touched Max's collar, brushing away snow to reveal Asmal metal tag. His eyes widened. "These aren't strays," he said. "They're rescue dogs from our own unit." Blitz limped toward them, still favoring his injured leg. Another rescuer gasped, recognizing the dark fur. "Dodge immediately." "That's Blitz. He went missing during the last storm." "We thought they were gone." Sarah turned shocked. "You mean they were looking for me?" The lead rescuer nodded. "They were part of the search party. We lost their signal, Desago." Sarah's mouth parted in disbelief. Max and Blitz. These brave, loyal dogs had been sent to find her, and they hadn't just followed instinct. They had followed purpose. Tears streamed freely down Sarah's cheeks as she knelt beside them, arms wrapping around their necks. "You saved me," she whispered, voice shaking. "You didn't give up, not even when it hurt." The dogs leaned into her touch, accepting her embrace with hesitation. Rescuers gave them water, food, and soft blankets. Someone brought a sled to carry them gently back to the village. But Sarah walked beside them. When they arrived, the vloggers clapped, cheered, and gathered around. Her mother never let go of her hand. Later, as the sun dipped behind the snowy hills, Sarah sat on the porch off their cabin, wrapped in a wool blanket. Max lay at her feet, Blitz dozing nearby, his leg bandaged. She looked at them both, eyes full. "You're not just dogs," she said softly. "You're my family now." Neither dog moved, but Hair Eyes said everything. They had come through the storm, through fear, through danger, and brought her home. And in their silence was a miracle.